with Seed making his WCW return to close out the Great American Bash pay-per-view last night with him and Savage laying out Nash for the finish. Savage and Seed, who walked out on ECW just days earlier to sign his WCW contract, arrived to the building with the announcers hyping the response from Nash along with 2 more surprise debuts set for tonight. WCW, in addition to trying to refresh the brand with the new logo and marketing campaign along with getting outside media exposure from the signings of Dennis Rodman and Master P, was set for 2 major Stadium Nitro shows in the next 2 weeks in New Orleans and Atlanta, and with ticket sales slowing down in the last few months compared to the peak, the company was set to load up the shows in attempts to draw near-record crowds, with Bischoff on commentary acknowledging the situation, putting it in part because Hogan, Goldberg, Luger, Hall and Brett are all out with injuries at the same time. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson were out a few minutes from the top of the hour for the crossover segment, taunting the crowd as still the president of the company hyping a major announcement for tonight, calling out Roddy Piper to the ring, saying that for 20 years him and Piper fought, but he's now offering him to join forces with Piper as the vice president of the company alongside him. Piper came out to accept the position, cutting a promo on the younger wrestlers complaining that they're not getting main event opportunities, in the process turning heel for the first time since his mid-80s WWF run at the height of the previous boom period, bringing out Dean Malenko, saying that Flair and Piper are doing the same thing they did 15 years ago while pushing anyone else down, continuing to build the feud between generations, naming Ray Kidman, Benoit, Saturn and Bagwell as the guys who should take over the top spots in the company, telling Flair and Piper to step down and pass the torch or they will take it themselves, leading to Piper, Flair and Anderson beating down Malenko to set up an 8-man tag match for later tonight. Promoted as Steve Austin's first day on the job as the new CEO of the company, footage from Austin's day was hyped on Raw in a series of skits at Titan Towers, kicking off with him taking Vince McMahon's parking spot in the building and instructing the new way to answer phone calls, with the corporate ministry coming out moments later for the opening segment. Vince said that last Monday should have been the payoff of 3 months of planning and the greatest swerve in company history, with him being revealed as the greater power. But instead the plan was ruined with Austin being put on an equal position, with the corporate ministry looking to take control back tonight, with Vince booking the union members in several stipulation matches to help them decide which stipulation to put on their match against Austin at King of the Ring, before being confronted by Patterson and Brisco going against Vince for the first time, with him booking them against Viscera and Mideon as a response, with Raw opening with a 6.1 rating. Already drawing more than double the Nitro viewership from the first quarter. Unlike previous weeks when WCW was able to hold a significant percentage of its unopposed audience to at least get close to Raw in the first quarter, this week saw Nitro opening at a near-show low and dropping further in the second quarter to a 2.7 rating, featuring Scott Norton vs Ernest Miller and the first half of Disco vs Hammer, while Raw picked up the lost viewership at the same time, having the premiere of Rock's new Chef Boyardee commercial, the second skit of Austin in the Office, and a Billy Gunn vs Road Dogg match doing a 6.4 rating for the quarter. As Nitro had an OBS vs Finlay hardcore match going 5 minutes while staying in the show low 2.7 rating range, Raw jumped over 400,000 viewers to a 6.6 rating as Rock came out for a promo to a massive ovation from the Worcester crowd, responding to Taker interfering in his cast match against Hunter last Monday, challenging him for the WWF title at the King of the Ring pay-per-view, bringing out Taker for the response, accepting the match to set up a double main event of Rock vs Taker and Austin vs Vince and Shane. The McMahons followed, telling Taker to not accept the match, saying that Rock shouldn't be the #1 contender, booking Taker against Rock for tonight in a non-title match, with Rock getting the title shot if he wins it, along with a surprise stipulation to be revealed 5 minutes before the match. At around 9:45 p.m. WCW had perhaps the biggest surprise of the week, with Sable showing up unannounced sitting in the front row, coming a week after Sable's over $100 million lawsuit against McMahon and the company was made public, with Nash following moments later in the Great American Bash follow-up promo challenging Seed for the main event tonight, while along with Bischoff on commentary noticing but not acknowledging Sable by name during the promo, with her still under legal issues with the WWF, with the Nash-Sable segment bumping Nitro back over 500,000 viewers into the 3 rating range. While Sable showed up on Nitro, Raw continued to climb to close out the first hour, with her replacement Debra against Ivory for the women's title, along with Austin having a board meeting at the headquarters, introducing himself to all the executives on the new direction of the company under him, setting up Austin declaring a beer drinking contest between them to see who's left standing, with the quarter, which included a Test vs Bossman match, jumped over 600,000 viewers to enter the 7 rating range. Nitro opened its third hour with a hyped 8-man tag match built as the past versus the future of the company, with Flair, Piper, Page and Kane against Bagwell, Benoit, Saturn and Malenko, with Bischoff on commentary playing off the angle, saying that it's time for the new generation to take over, coming days after a website interview when he indirectly blamed the TV focus on the Horsemen since last November on the dropping numbers of the company, with Flair, who has been one of the top TV draws in the business throughout this period, responding back in an interview Wednesday saying that the Horsemen were never given a fair chance to get over since the Reformation in September '98 and are now done as a unit. At the same time, Raw's top-of-the-hour segment jumped to its highest rated quarter of the night, even against the Big Star Power tag match, with 2 matches in the quarter, first with Big Show vs X-Pac set up to build the upcoming first Show vs Kane match at King of the Ring, and Ken Shamrock vs Jeff Jarrett, with Shamrock going over after being put in a straitjacket by McMahon, jumping to a near-record 7.1 rating. Nitro's 8-man tag went 16 minutes, crossing over 2 quarters, with Buff Bagwell, who was positioned as the head of the Future Generation group, going over Flair clean to win the match, while Raw after the peak quarter settled at a 6.6 rating, with Patterson and Brisco against Viscera and Mideon, along with Austin going over several company contracts including the McMahons, telling the accountant to shift some of Vince's figure to Mick Foley's salary and make Shane's pay the new beer budgets of the company. Nitro had its highest rated quarter of the night next, starting with Rick Steiner vs. Hack in a TV title match that turned into a hardcore brawl to the parking lot of the MCI Center, with both taking bumps through trucks and motorcycles, setting up Sting coming up from a Hummer to take out Steiner a day after their pay-per-view match ended with Sting being attacked by Dogs backstage, with the quarter picking up over 600,000 viewers to a show-high 3.4 rating. Going against it, Raw had Kane in a handicap match against the Acolytes for the tag belts, going 6 minutes with the Acolytes going over to retain, along with the final Austin skit at the headquarters with him getting into Vince's office in the building, bringing in wheelbarrows of mud to drop in the office to close the angle, with Vince and Shane's response coming up next. WCW opened its final quarter with a Ray and Conan vs. La Parka and Psychosis tag match going 6 minutes, with the focus of the segment being the TV debut of rapper Master P, building up the rap vs. country music angle with Curt Hennig's group, with WCW holding a press conference earlier in the day on Monday to introduce him to the company and get some mainstream coverage, announcing him as one of the highest-grossing entertainers of the year in hopes of attracting a new audience to WCW television, with Bischoff on commentary saying that the competition offered him 3 times the money but he chose WCW instead. After watching Austin's antics at Titan Towers for the past 2 hours, Vince and Shane opened Raw's final quarter for the response promo, with Vince telling Austin that he disgraced the company while challenging him to put his CEO position on the line in a ladder match at the King of the Ring pay-per-view, offering to combine Vince and Shane's stock in the company against Austin before being interrupted by Shamrock laying out Shane and sprinting after Vince to his limousine, with the second half of the quarter seeing Rock and Taker coming out and Hunter being added to make it a 3-way and start the match 5 minutes from the top of the hour, with Raw jumping to a 6.8 rating. With the show already past 11 p.m., Randy Savage came out instead of Seed for the main event, telling Nash to hand him the belt and start an impromptu Savage vs. Nash title match, going a minute before Seed made his TV debut to team up with Savage and bring out Sting for the save, with the overrun having the biggest viewership jump of the night for WCW, picking up over 800,000 viewers to a peak 3.8 rating. Rock, Taker and Hunter went 11 minutes, crossing into the 5-minute overrun, with Rock having the match won by pinning Taker before eventually going over Hunter to book the Rock vs. Taker WWF title match at the King of the Ring pay-per-view and turn Taker and Hunter against each other, with Raw overall continuing the hottest streak in show history with another massive 6.7 rating for the second week in a row, the second highest rated opposed show in its history.